In the heart of Waste 70, back with another EP. And y'all do your boy a favor, y'all smash that like button for your boy when you roll on in. Whether you're here for a good time or a long time, y'all do your boy solid. Y'all help keep the likes with the views. Y'all smash that like button for your boy when you roll on in. I ain't gonna keep up too much of y'all time today, this morning. I'm gonna hit y'all with an EP, then I'm gonna come back a little later, with a former EP. We go pop shit. We go pop shit. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna go and get right into it. It's saying it's said a lot, right? In boxing that boxing should be more like the UFC. Boxing should be more like the UFC. Boxing should be more like the UFC. Boxing, you can't duck. I mean, in UFC, you can't duck. You can't duck nobody. The best gotta fight the best. You know what I mean? And I get it. I get it. I understand it too, right? It's a lot of fights in boxing that we want that we don't get. You know what I mean? And I will admit the UFC does have a lot of good things about its structural system, right? But there's also some huge gaping holes. You know what I mean? In the UFC, I think the right thing would do right is to find the balance between both, right? The balance between boxing and the UFC MMA. Like boxing pay is fine. The boxing pay is fine. The UFC matchmaking is fine. If we could get a structure where we meet somewhere along the middle or both, that'd be good. Like you could pay the guys like boxers, right? But have the fighting system set up like the UFC have the fight system set up, right? So it make it harder for people, to avoid big fights, right? But this EP right here, right? This is about the UFC grossly underpaying its superstars. This weekend there was a double undisputed, boxing match with Bumgarner and Serrano for my boxing heads. We all was up on that big weekend for boxing. There was also, a UFC event this weekend. And the pay exchanges dropped. You know what I mean? The pay exchanges dropped from the weekend, and I must admit the reason that I'm here because it was kind of bizarre to me. I realized that MMA, UFC made less than boxing. You know what I mean? But it's one thing to think something, right? But it's another thing to actually see it in person to put a number on it, right? So this is from MMA Junkie, right? MMA Junkie, one of the biggest MMA platforms, you know what I mean, there is today. They put out the compliance pay uh guidelines for the UFC event, right? And the total pay for the event Saturday, right, was shockingly underwhelming, right? The total pay for each fighter on the card Saturday in UFC was 136K. You know what I mean? So every fighter totaling the whole fight card total. Each fighter made 136K, not a piece, but it's a grand total. The main event on this card was Derrick Lewis versus Sergey Spivak, right? Heavyweight division. Now you would think the main event of the event, not you would think, right? We all know that the main event, the headliner of the main event gets paid the most, right? So you would think that, with you headlining an event, you will get paid pretty handsomely, right? Well, word has broke that Derrick Lewis was only received $21,000, you know what I mean, to take place in this fight this Saturday atop the UFC card. 21,000. Now, right, it sounds like, a lot to a regular person, but when you really think about it, these guys going in there and they literally like fighting to the death. So $21,000 for the main event, the top of the line, the top person got $21,000, right? But I digress. Let's go on down to these other persons, right? As you see, now, as alarming as it is, right? Derrick Lewis, he got $21,000. Derrick Lewis was the highest paid person on this card at $21,000. Y'all do your boy a favor. I got 10 people in the building. I got 11 people in the building. I got 10 likes. Y'all do your boy a favor. Y'all hit that thumbs up for your boy when you roll on in. But no, let's take a look. Derrick Lewis was the highest paid on the card with $21,000. The person who shared the ring with Derrick Lewis in the main event, the person that shared the I'm pretty sure they did, Alex. it's always tough to explain, right? But I get it. I get what it really is, though. Not what, not no adjusted, or nothing like that. But what it really is. These are the purchase for everybody on the card. You know what I mean? This is what these people get 40,000. He got 21,000. You know what I mean? Derrick Lewis got 21,000 in compliance payouts. Sergey Spivak got 6,000. You know what I mean? And if you just scroll on down the list, the numbers get even more. It gets even more ugly, right? It gets even more ugly as you scroll down. Devin Clark, 11. Young Jung, 6,000. We got a 16,000 up here. We got a 6,000. We got mostly you see 6s, 6,000s. You see 4,000s, right? But let me go to I got another joint up here somewhere. Hold on. I got another joint here for the Bellator. Right. And this is hold on, I'm gonna go to the actual article so we can see this thing. Because I ain't gonna be in this joint too long. I ain't gonna be in this thing too long.
Hitachi drives social innovation.
I don't want to hear that. Okay, so here we go. Now, this is a Bellator event, right? This is Bellator, also MMA, right? Not to the level of UFC. Not to the level of UFC, right? So let's use Alex's number. So let's say 50,000, right? This is a main event. And he got 50,000 with bonuses, right? I mean, he had to earn it, right? So I mean, his guaranteed pay was probably less than 50,000. But he said Spivak. So let's just say Spivak got 50,000, right? Spivak competed in the biggest event, right? He competed in the biggest event on the high stage of MMA. UFC is the biggest event in MMA, right? And he was the main event. And my boy Alex said that Spivak got 50,000 in bonuses. 50,000 in bonuses, right? So that means he had to get a bonus to even earn to get up to his 50,000. You know what I mean? In UFC, in MMA, you got to get a couple of those bonuses to even make it worth your while. But let's just take that, let's use that, right? UFC, the biggest stage, Dana White, the highest making, the highest grossing MMA promotional company, only paid his main event fighters $50,000. And actually, he didn't even pay them $50,000. He got 50,000 in bonuses. You know what I mean? So let's look at Bellator. Bellator is, of course, a smaller outlet than the UFC, right? A much smaller outlet than the UFC, right? Bellator put on the event the same day as the UFC did, right? As the UFC. And you can see right here, Darren Caldwell got $50,000 in his Bellator fight, right? You can see right here, Darren Caldwell, 50,000 for loss to Nika Malakov. You know what I mean? So one of those fighters got $50,000, and he's not even the main event. You know what I mean? But the main event, one of 5 fighters who pocketed 6 figures, disclosed paydays, Ryan Bader and Johnny Eblen topped the list. Ryan Bader and Johnny Eblen topped the list with 150,000. Legendary MMA fighter Fedor Emelianenko and welterweight Shaba Hasmi Homasi each made 100,000 each despite losses. So you had Fedor Emelianenko, who retired, right? He brought in 100K. You had Johnny Eblen and Ryan Bader, who also brought in 100K. No bonuses, right? 100K straight out for Bellator. Now, what people want to tell you is everybody should be like the UFC. Everybody should do this. Well, the UFC effectively is not even paying, their main event fighters more than a Bellator main event fighter. Ryan Bader and Johnny Eblen and Fedor Emelianenko both made more than the Black Beast and Sergey Spivak, you know what I mean, for their last event. And you would think, right, fighting in the UFC, right, on the best, you know, on the biggest stage against the best, you would think that would earn you a little more paper. You know what I mean? Now, I don't agree with everything that Jake Paul say, but I'm not gonna lie. When it comes to the UFC and Dana White and how they move in their rulings, Jake Paul, you know, he really is on to something when he come to how, you know, Dana White treating these people, right? You got a main event guy, Sergey Spivak, who got 50,000 in bonuses, and you got people who fighting on Bellator, you know, who making triple that, double that, right? And everybody want, and people want to say, well, I don't got no respect for that guy because he fighting Bellator. I don't got no respect for that guy because he don't fight in the UFC. UFC literally just made, you know, Black Beast fight for about 21,000. You know what I mean? Spivak got 50,000 in bonuses, right? So that means that Spivak essentially made more than Derrick Lewis, right? Derrick Lewis got 21,000. That's probably what he took home. That 21,000. Them people down there that didn't get no bonuses, the one person he named got bonuses. What about everybody else who didn't get a bonus? They went home with their 6,000. They went home with their 4,000. So we just talking about the main eventers. The main eventers got under $20,000. You know what I mean? So imagine what the people on the actual card got. You know what I mean? With no bonuses. What about those losers that fought for $4,000? You know what I mean? They got sent home with $4,000 in the busted motherfucking head. It's gonna cost you more than $4,000 to pay your goddamn bills. You know what I mean? But you know, this y'all can't. You know what I mean? Dana White, everybody's saying, oh, boxing should be more like UFC. Baloney. You know what I mean? It's a balance. It's a middle ground that I think they both could learn a little bit from one another. You know what I mean? Boxing with the matchmaking. Yeah, I wish there was a better way, right? We could get the best to fight the best. But UFC most definitely could take a page from boxing, you know, with the pay. The MMA fighters, UFC fighters, not even MMA, just the UFC. Because we see Bellator, you know, paying out. UFC grossly underpaying these fighters. And it's sick, man. But I ain't gonna keep y'all in this thing too long. Greatly appreciate everybody sliding through. Skin the Hardaway 7T. This ain't the past. This ain't the future. But just the present. That's how we rocking. And I'm out. Love.